All the top stories now with the ITV Evening News.
Grief turns to anger in South Korea. Bereaved families of the plane crash say they are getting no support or information. Muan Airport has become a morgue as families wait for their relatives to be identified.
We are demanding that the government should bring in more experts to help recover the bodies.
Also tonight, 5 people are charged over the death of Liam Payne and a stormy start to 2025. New Year's Eve celebrations cancelled in Edinburgh and Blackpool.
This is ITV News with Yasmin Bodalbhai.
Good evening. Grief has turned to anger for many of the bereaved families of the 179 killed when a plane crashed in South Korea on Sunday. Families and loved ones of the victims spent the night at the airport waiting for news and for bodies to be released. Officials believe the plane's landing gear may have malfunctioned after a bird strike, although investigations continue into whether other factors were involved. A warning, Chloe Keady's report contains distressing footage from the scene.
All that's left of a plane that was carrying nearly 200 people are the charred remains of its tail, which now stands towering over teams of emergency workers as they pick their way through the wreckage. It had been full of families on their way home from Christmas holidays in Thailand when it crashed as it tried to land, killing 179 people. Inside South Korea's Muan Airport, relatives desperate for news slept in makeshift tents overnight. Their grief now compounded by grim frustration at how long it's taking for the bodies of their loved ones to be recovered and returned. This man's brother was on board.
We are demanding that the government should bring in more experts to help recover the bodies. The most important thing at the moment is the dignity of the victims. They need to be treated well.
Visiting the crash site, South Korea's acting president ordered an emergency safety inspection of the country's entire aviation system. It's now been revealed that the pilot of this Boeing 737-800 reported a bird strike moments before it went down. But there are questions over what caused the landing gear to fail and why a concrete wall had been built so close to the end of the runway, which the plane crashed into before exploding into flames.
While I can't say for certain what caused the accident, but then the concrete wall definitely contributed quite a lot to the actual impact, because without the wall, it could have skidded off the runway and towards the motorways, perhaps, or into the fields, which would have lessened the damage.
As South Korea's 7-day period of official mourning begins, so too does the investigation into one of the deadliest airline disasters in its history. Chloe Keady, ITV News.
5 people have been charged in connection with the death of Liam Payne in Argentina. The former One Direction star died in October after falling from a hotel balcony in Buenos Aires. Well, I'm joined by our reporter Martha Fairley. So Martha, what do we know about these charges?
Well, it's been confirmed 3 people are charged with negligent homicide, the equivalent of manslaughter. Another 2 are charged with supplying cocaine after an Argentinian judge decided the case should proceed to trial. Now, Roger Norris, described as Liam Payne's friend and representative, left the hotel 50 minutes before he died. Now, he's accused of abandoning him, having full knowledge of his state of intoxication, vulnerability and helplessness. Roger Norris has denied any wrongdoing in the past. Belfast. The manager of the Casa Sur Hotel, Gilda Martin, is accused of allowing Payne to be taken to his room moments before his death, where the balcony was a source of risk, while the head of reception, Esteban Grassi, is said to be one of 3 people who dragged Payne to his room before he died. Now, the judge, Laura Bruniard, said on the night of Liam Payne's death, hotel staff saw the singer demanding alcohol and cocaine. She believes he fell because in his state of intoxication, he tried to leave his 3rd floor room via the balcony. Toxicology tests showed traces of alcohol, cocaine and a prescription antidepressant in Payne's body. A waiter and a hotel employee are charged with supplying Liam Payne with cocaine and are to be remanded in custody. But a lawyer for the waiter is reported to have said his client took drugs with Payne but wasn't the dealer. Now, if guilty, those charged with negligent homicide face up to 5 years in jail. The drugs charges carry a maximum 15-year sentence.
OK, Martha, thank you. A teenager jailed for 1 year in Dubai for having a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old girl has handed himself in to begin his sentence. Marcus Fakana from North London was on holiday with his parents when he met the girl, who is now 18. The campaign group assisting him says he now hopes of a pardon from the country's leader. Concerns over heavy snow, rain and high winds has led to the cancellation of a number of major New Year's Eve events across the country. In Scotland, Edinburgh's world-famous Hogman celebrations have been called off because of the extreme weather, and in Blackpool, Tuesday's fireworks display is also cancelled. Well, tonight our reporters are live where both events were due to happen. First to Lewis Mickey in Edinburgh. Lewis, how bad are the conditions there set to be?
Well, we've had heavy wind over the last 2 days here in Edinburgh, 40 to 50 miles per hour. The rain's coming in now too, and that's just set to continue tomorrow. So ultimately, organisers decided that it just wasn't going to be the right thing to do to continue with such a large-scale event. I mean, we would have seen between the street party and the concert with Texas and the gardens here, more than 50,000 people, and that's before you talk about all the people without tickets who would have been watching the fireworks from the castle from afar. And it's a world-renowned celebration too. Today we've spoken to people who have come from as far as Australia, America, Asia, specifically to be here for these events. But unfortunately for them, the weather has somewhat dampened those celebrations.
OK, Lewis Mickey, thank you in Edinburgh. And Rachel Townsend is in Blackpool. Rachel, it looks like many other New Year's Eve events look to be at risk tonight.
Yeah, they do indeed, and there is huge disappointment here in Blackpool. Thousands were expected along this promenade tomorrow, right in front of the famous Blackpool Tower, to witness a spectacular New Year's Eve fireworks display. But for the second time in just 4 years, extreme weather has forced its cancellation, specifically high winds, which are due to batter this coastline tomorrow evening, and we're starting to feel them whip up right now. Indeed, much of England and the whole of Wales over the next couple of days will be under this yellow weather warning for strong winds and rain. And from tomorrow, that will also affect large parts of Northern Ireland. And tomorrow, New Year's Eve and indeed New Year's Day are going to be the worst 2 days affected. And so, as you alluded to, inevitably many events will be under threat. And on top of that, we've been told that these strong winds and the possible flooding could lead to power cuts across the UK, as well as inevitable travel chaos on the roads, the rail networks and in the air. What a joyous start to the new year.
Oh, Rachel, thank you very much. Now, world leaders have been paying tribute to former US President and Nobel Peace Prize winner Jimmy Carter, who has died at the age of 100. The former peanut farmer from Georgia went on to become the longest-living American former president. Joe Biden said the world had lost an extraordinary leader, statesman and humanitarian. Robert Moore reports.
In the small Georgia town of Plains, today the sense of pride and loss is clear. For this is the community that Jimmy Carter called home for 100 years. With flowers being placed outside the centre where he focused so much of his post-presidential work, there was also a sense of gratitude.
I'm very sad that he's gone. I think What more could he have done? He lived a very full life.
And today, members of the family fondly recalled the moment when Jimmy Carter told them the news of his improbable bid for the White House.
He said, "I'm running for president." And my dad said, "President of what?" And he said, "The United States." And my dad said, "Oh, yeah, right." And we just all laughed and went on about eating.
I, Jimmy Carter, do solemnly swear.
Jimmy Carter was a one-term president, taking office in 1977. He faced major economic headwinds, including spiralling energy prices at home and the humiliation of the hostage crisis in Iran, when dozens of American diplomats were seized after the revolution. But he had one notable triumph too.
Very good.
A Middle East deal that saw Israel and Egypt sign a peace deal that endures to this day. Last night, Joe Biden paid his own tribute to America's 39th president.
America and the world, in my view, lost a remarkable leader. He was a statesman and humanitarian. And Jill and I lost a dear friend.
Flags are at half-mast at the White House and across the nation as America pays tribute to the unlikely life of the farmer from Georgia, who many saw as a flawed president, but who then became a universally admired humanitarian who won the Nobel Peace Prize.
Tributes to President Jimmy Carter, who's died at the age of 100. Finally, world number one chess player Magnus Carlsen is rejoining a major competition after being fined for wearing jeans. The 34-year-old walked out of the World Rapid and Blitz Chess Championship in New York on Friday after being told to change his trousers, which he refused. Since then, the sport's governing body has agreed to relax its dress code. The player says he'll go back, but will wear jeans when he plays. That's all for now. We'll be back with the late news. That's at 5 to 11. Until then, enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.